Hey guys, my name is Davor Rusnov. I'm a good friend of VaJahn's. VaJahn asked me to come on this podcast. I don't know if I'm, maybe as credible as some of his other guests that he's had or notorious for anything really, but hopefully just a good breadth of knowledge and, I like to share my story. So that
Bro,
being said, I'll hand it over to you. What questions do you have for me?
yes, sir, bro. I'm excited to have you, Davor, bro. This is gonna be awesome. You do have a lot of knowledge that you can bring to us, bro. We will kind of just explain where you're from, bro, where you went to school, and then we're gonna get into what you're doing now. So
Sure.
kind of just like, yeah, what you do.
What I can say,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, we'll get to the complicated stuff in a bit. But I was actually born overseas in Bosnia and Herzegovina. I was born in a city called Sarajevo. So, English is my third language. Like, I came over to the States when I was really young. And then just from there, I think it's really just like foreign parents in general. It's like a cultural thing, but they try to really instill it within their kids that, hey, we want you to pursue an education. So, I didn't always attend the best schools, right? Like I attended Shaw Middle School over in Hilliard because that's where we used to live. But I tried to make the most of it. I just tried to be a good student. And then from there on, I was like, hey, I think high school is a little bit of a different playing field. I'd really like to be able to go to an academically accredited high school. So where do I go? And I went to Lewis and Clark. That was, where I ended up picking. My older sister had gone there prior to me. And I used to take the city bus down there. It was quite a journey, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. Like, that's actually where we met. So, just went to Lewis and Clark, and after that, just a little bit of college. I went to SFCC. Ended up going with somebody who's an ex-girlfriend now, but decided like, hey, like, let's attend college together. It could be good for us. I think I only ended up attending 5 or 6 quarters before I dropped out. I just didn't feel like there was really a challenge. School wasn't necessary for me. And then I got kind of into the work field and, doing what I do now. So,
Before we get too far, tell me what the biggest difference. I know you weren't there too long, but like, tell me what the biggest difference is between like the states, like kids, like us, and like people overseas, like the kids overseas.
um, I think there's like, how would I phrase this? I would say I think there's like an expectation, like a lot of that stems from like your family, right? So the expectation, like looking overseas, like I look at my cousins, for instance, the expectation is that, hey, you're going to go to school, you're going to be working a job better than what your family, what your ancestors have done. And like for instance, let's say you're a business owner, well then it's no different, right? I expect my kid to take over the business or follow in my footsteps, right? Um, and here I feel like there's a lot more freedom. I would say that there's less pressure that people put on their kids, where it's like, hey, I just want you to follow whatever you want, right? Follow your dreams, your own desires, things that you want to do. So that's kind of how I look at it. I was fortunate that my parents were really a good mix of two. They said, feel free to do whatever you feel like is going to suit you best, but make sure whatever you dedicate yourself to, make sure you're giving 110% always. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Okay. When you were growing up, what did you want to be?
It's changed. I mean, it changed a lot of times,
I'm
right?
sure. Yeah.
Initially, I loved architecture, and it's
Okay.
funny, I compliment my parents saying like, they allowed me to pick whatever I wanted, but when I told them like, hey, I want to be an architect, they told me, I don't know if the need is there for that. You have to be really skilled. So, they wanted me to be a little bit more practical. They talked about, hey, how about medical, right? How about being a lawyer, right, of some sort. So that kind of that got into my head. It played a huge role in like, okay, what was I really going to do? And I ended up thinking that I was ultimately going to be a pediatric oncologist, right? That I was going to be a cancer doctor for kids, and that's because like I love working with kids. They're amazing, they're kind, they're innocent, and it's like if I could be that, kind of middle ground where like, hey, I'm trying to help them overcome this obstacle. I really thought that's what I was going to get into. I didn't feel the challenge, as I said, from college, so I dropped out, and then I got into helping people with developmental disabilities. From there, I again didn't feel a challenge, and now I work in finance. So that's ultimately, I think, kind of what the timeline was for me.
Okay. Explain or what you can about what you do now, and let's talk about what you enjoy to do as well, maybe outside of work as well.
So yeah, work is it's super complicated, right? Can't share too much more than what's on my business card. But I work in finance. I work for a company called New York Life. I'm listed as an agent currently, and I on my business card I have my email, my phone number. Really can't say much more on camera here, right? Off camera, I know that we have a plan to maybe discuss some of that type of stuff, but definitely like there's a lot of value that I look to provide to people with that.
So come tap in with Davor is
Yeah.
basically what he's saying. Like,
Yeah,
that's what I'm
that's
hearing.
appreciate the plug. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I hear you, bro. What is it that brings you like that joy? What gets you going every morning? Gives you that motivation to go?
Man, I mean that's a tough one. Like, because I think we all, it's within the human nature that sometimes you struggle, right? Sometimes it's, I don't want to get up in the morning. I don't feel like going to my job. I don't, maybe I don't want to give 100% in my relationship, whatever it is, right? I think that's just an innate struggle that we all go through as humans. For me, what gets me up is the fact that, I watch a lot of inspirational like videos on Instagram. That's my For You page, right? So a lot of times Kobe Bryant's talking, or Grant Cardone, right? I don't know. Yeah, I mean there's a lot of these people like I potentially like look up to, and I'm like, okay, what can they provide of value to me? And when I see that they've attained success in some type of way, that's what gets me up. I question myself, am I going to be successful today? Right? Am I going to be successful tomorrow? Am I going to continue that? And I just try to stay disciplined, I think is the thing. I don't think that it's necessarily just about being motivated. I think you have to be disciplined, right? You have to get up and follow the same routines and, follow your process, whatever is going to lead you to success.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Bro, I think discipline is probably one of the most important things. That's what I always try to like. It's one of my most like.
100%.
Yeah, bro, because discipline it has a wide umbrella of things, bro. But
motivation, yeah, it's like motivation runs out.
Most definitely. Bro.
So you have to stay disciplined.
Yes, I agree, bro. Before I don't want to get too far into that real quick. I want to talk some NBA real quick and stuff.
Sure, yeah.
I know when we're recording this is what Milwaukee plays tonight, game 3. Game 2, or they played last night?
They played last night, yeah. Ended up killing the Miami Heat a little bit.
Giannis, first off, I watched that play on Giannis. Giannis is hurt, bro. What's going on with Giannis? Like, the Greek freak. Like,
we like to think he's invincible. That's my favorite player. I have a signed jersey of him that I collected over the years. I have a lot of sports memorabilia. But, like, he is my favorite player, right? So I know his birthday. I know what smoothie flavor he likes. When I saw that play, to be honest, I wasn't really that worried about it, right? Is it an injury to his body? Absolutely. But how hard does he work? How disciplined is he within his, physique? I mean, I think he's going to bounce back. He'll be okay. I expect him to play game 3, potentially, game 4, game 5. I don't see us really struggling against the Heat. I think the Heat had a really good game, the first time they came out, but I think Giannis he's going to be just fine. We've seen worse injuries. If you recall, like there was the injury against Atlanta where he hyperextended his knee, ended up playing the next game, right? I mean, the guy's a superhuman. Like,
what was the one last year? Was that the one?
I believe so, yeah.
Where he was injured, bro. You could tell it. He came back to that next. I was like, bro,
and it's like, yeah, like
dude is ridiculous. Like he's got like fucking. Oh, there I go.
Let me ask you this though: do you think he was 100% playing in, the finals when he was up against the Suns?
No, but no.
And the closeout game, right? Game 6, he still posts 50 points, right? That's ridiculous. Like you're not 100%, yet you can still post 50 points. He's been the best player in basketball for the past 5 years. They don't want to give him the MVP because of voter fatigue or what have you, right? I think the MVP this year is going to probably go to Joel Embiid, which, my opinion, he would have gotten the second place vote. Nikola Jokic third. But, I think maybe it's because I'm a Milwaukee Bucks homer, but, I think he's the best basketball player on the planet. He's gonna be fine. That back injury, wouldn't worry too much about it.
Bro, that dude is ridiculous. He's like 6'11", like that can dribble the ball and do everything but shoot free throws, bro. That is when I play with him in 2K, bro. He cannot shoot free throws, bro. And it
I know.
pisses me
You gotta go
off.
on the sliders and up it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm playing online though. I can't be doing that. Like,
No, yeah.
I can't be like.
It's so difficult. I play, the Milwaukee Bucks on 2K all the time. I think I've gotten his free throw down, right? There's a couple other players I, maybe struggle with here and there. But, like, I mean, I could post 30-point triple-doubles with him any day, right? And that's a video game. But then you look at real life, I mean, he could do that, potentially every night. So, yeah, I think, I don't know. He's a great overall talent, so.
I agree, bro. I remember when LeBron said that he could score 50 every night if he wanted to.
Yeah.
He'd go out there and score 50
Yep.
every single night and not think twice about it. But some people, bro, like Steve Nash and like, bro, they get a fix out of like the passing more than, or watching your teammates succeed more than you. I think that makes a great player. Tell me. Real quick, I got a question for you since you're an East fan. I'm a Laker fan, so I don't really watch the East like that. What happened to Miami this year? Why are they so bad? They've been so good for the last couple of years, and then all of a sudden I look and they're in the play-in game, and I'm like,
It's a huge fall off, right? Why does it happen? Honestly, it could just be team chemistry, right? I don't know that there was anything like huge or detrimental to that. Personally, I'll be honest with you, I haven't really followed basketball as close as I used to. I really still try to follow the Bucks when I can. But, we've seen it like time and time again, like somebody goes from, let's say being the champ and then they just kind of like fall off, right? If you recall, like let's think of the Lakers back in 02-03. They end up winning that championship in 02. And then, the following year they're losing to the Pistons in the finals. How do you lose to the Pistons when you have Shaq, but you're going up against Ben Wallace, right? To me, that's like, it's not as, big of a fall off as what the Miami Heat, what happened this season. But it's just like stuff changes over time. I'm not going to point, to anybody, but like I know Jimmy Butler's kind of notorious for saying some stuff, having some really strong opinions. So maybe, there's something there. So a lot of times, they may have those players only meetings where, it's nobody but the players. And I think Miami's one of those teams. They're probably having that a couple times during the season, trying to figure some stuff out.
bro, I couldn't believe it. I know I don't follow as you, bro. I don't really follow. I follow the Lakers, so like, and then I follow the West in the standings, of course, to see who's where. But like, other than that, but when I seen that, it was like, obviously there's something like there's some chemistry problem, or there's some like because you don't just go from being the best in the East to being the ninth best team in the East.
No,
like
definitely not.
And you still have the same Adebayo. They still have Jimmy buckets. Like
you still have your core. At the essence of it. I'll flip the question since you're a Lakers fan. What happened with you guys starting 2-10, and now all of a sudden you look like, hey, we could come out of the West? I mean, that's really hopeful. I don't think the Lakers are going to come out of the West, but how does that even happen over the course of a season?
Bro, I honestly think it's just the players that are in the locker room, bro, and I think it's the aspect of if people actually like each other. I really do think that, like, when you have people like Patrick Beverley, you have people like Russell Westbrook, bro, that are very, they're stars, bro. They're, even if they're not put up 40 points, bro, they're stars. They're people that have been in the league for a long time.
They do the dirty work,
bro. They come with a head, with a big ego and things like that. And I think with LeBron, bro, LeBron first off needs shooters. He needs shooters around him, bro.
Shout out to Austin Reeves coming through.
Austin Reeves is the guy. I love Austin, bro.
I think Rui Hachimura was a really good addition for you guys.
Rui too, bro. Like whatever. I don't like. I think it's the players and it's the want, bro. I say this about like when I talked to a friend, I talked to Tom Glasgow about this, about the Mariners. He works for Root Sports. He was telling me that there are some players that are like Julio, bro. You know who Julio Rodriguez is?
Vaguely, okay. I'm not a huge
he's a star for the Mariners.
Sure.
But he's like probably 20 years old, and he says he's from the Dominican, bro. So what he was saying was people from the Dominican, bro, they don't have as much. So baseball is what if he doesn't succeed in baseball, he's going back to the Dominican, bro. Like to go do whatever they're gonna do in the Dominican. And then, because I asked him about Jared Kelnick compared to Julio, and he says I think it's the want, it's the people, it's how bad you want it. I think Rui wants it. I think people like Austin Reeves, they really want it. I don't think Russell Westbrook really wants it like that, bro. I don't think. I think Patrick Beverley puts on a face like that he wants it, bro, and that he has like that persona, bro. But I don't think that at the end of the day, like I don't think they really, really want it. And I think that's what makes a championship team like Giannis. Like you gotta have players that really will do anything to win, bro.
To summarize that, like one of the books I love, right? It's the Book of Basketball, written by Bill Simmons, and
I love Bill Simmons.
I love him. Yeah, he's a great guy. I used to listen to him on the Ringer, Grantland, like all of that, right? But the thing that Bill like shared, like I think it was around the time Isaiah Thomas used to coach the New York Knicks, right? And he catches him poolside. They're out in Vegas for the summer league, and he goes, Isaiah, I got to ask you, what was it about those Pistons teams? Why were you guys so successful? And he goes, well, it has nothing to do with basketball. And he goes, what do you mean it doesn't have to do with basketball? Everything has to do with basketball. At least that's an analytics, expertise. Like that's what he's going to think. Mm-hmm. And Isaiah says, no, it just has to do with, does the team mesh well, right? Are they all getting along in the locker room? Exactly. Do they all want the same goal? And, you see it time and time again, like the 08 Celtics. The reason that they were able to beat Kobe and Pau Gasol in the finals is because that team they all traveled to Italy together that summer before. Doc Rivers rallied around them. Yeah. They went off of a South African concept called Ubuntu, which means like if I am, then you are, right? It means like we all have to succeed together, right? Don't let my success deter you from achieving your own personal gain, right? We want to see you come up just as much as I come up, and we kind of hold each other accountable for that. Yeah. So I think that's a lot of, how basketball should be played. That's the right way.
Bro, and I think everybody, like, I get it's kind of a little different, but, like, everybody in the NBA can play, bro. If everybody had the opportunity to play 35 minutes a night, everybody could score 25 points. Everybody in the NBA.
They're the best 400 players on the planet.
And not only, bro, like when I went to Montana, bro, like we had walk-ons that would come through, bro, and they would wreck the whole facility, bro. Could not stop them. They pulled it for half court, but could not step on that court, bro. Could not even sniff the court, bro, for the team. But they were out there busting ass, bro, and
I've had those pickup games. I know it's hard for people that don't know me. You look at me as like this big guy. High school, I used to be kind of athletic. Yeah, I used to be all right.
He's a shooter.
And that's the thing. Like, I was shooting. Right, there were pickup games. I would have 23 pointers, and it's just like whoa, like this guy just scored 70 on us in a pickup game. Like, but meanwhile, did I make those teams? Like, was I really prolific on that? No, not really. Like, I went to the tryouts. I was. Right before like getting on the team, I ended up getting cut like the last group of people, and I'm still looking around. I felt proud of myself because it's, a lot of those people on those teams. I mean, they're playing at different levels. Like they ended up playing in college, things that I couldn't do. Could have I maybe been a walk-on at like a junior college? Potentially, if I had stayed in shape. But I got comfortable.
I got different goals now. We try to make money now.
Different goals. Yeah. So.
Two more questions on the sports.
Sure.
Is the NBA rigged?
This is you gotta see this is what I love about this podcast. You can come thinking that you're gonna be prepared for this, but you tossed a really good question. Yeah. Is it rigged? Yes and no. Okay, so no, because I think players really do go out of their way to like try and win games. Why are you gonna compete? Why are you gonna be an athlete? Why are you gonna have that as your profession if your ultimate goal isn't to win and achieve something, right? Nikola Jokic talks about the way that he looks at the game. He looks at it no different than a scrimmage game of how he used to play like back when he was a teen or whatever. He doesn't look at it any different. So to him, it's just a game. But then you have those ultra competitive guys like LeBron, for instance. He wants to be in the finals every year. He wants to be competing. So I don't think that it's rigged in that sense. I think those players really look at it that way. But then I think when you look at management, you look at referees, you look at some of these like questionable calls or decisions that they make. I mean, yeah, like, tanking is a thing, right? Like, why would the Dallas Mavericks, this season, why did they sit down Luka Doncic and Kyrie if they're trying to play for the play-in, right? Well, we want a better spot for the draft, right? We know Victor Wembanyama's coming out. We know, Scoot Henderson's going to be in the draft. Like, this is going to be potentially an all-time draft. So, of course, you want a good spot. And, if they recognized at some point during the season, hey, I don't think we're going to win, that's when they start tanking. That's where they start rigging that stuff. And it sucks because, like, season ticket holders, people that saved up money to watch them from the nosebleeds, be able to watch them one time. Like, you're sitting down players for player management or whatever. I mean, it's just like, I think it's gotten away from it. I think that really has developed over the past 2 decades, I'd say. So in a way, I think, yeah, it can be a little rigged. But again, I think that's any sport. So give me some feedback on this. I want to hear your opinion.
Bro, sometimes I'm not a big like conspiracy theory or like I don't believe it's rigged per se because because of the betting and stuff. I don't think that it is. But people will always say like back in like the 80s and 90s that the Lakers that the NBA rigged titles for the Lakers back in the 70s and 80s that it was made for the Lakers to win and for Boston to win, and it wasn't really so much for. And I think that still is the case today. Milwaukee's the first small market team that I think has really ever like won the title in this new day and age.
Mid-market, I'd argue maybe the Dallas Mavericks, right?
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, like they came out, they won a championship. And you've had them like here and there in between. Like I think even the Pistons being able to beat the Lakers in the finals, like again, impressive. I used that earlier, but like it doesn't make any sense on paper. You look at 6'9" Ben Wallace and you look at 7'2" Shaq. How is Ben Wallace out rebounding this guy? Why is he blocking him? Like, so that's where I like to say like, I completely agree with you. No, I don't think it's rigged. I think you're going to find outliers in the data, but I think when it comes to like these referee calls, the management, like, can you explain why the Dallas Mavericks would sit down their 2 star players when they could be in the tournament?
Yeah, no.
You can't.
No.
Right? So that's why it's like, it's almost a political science to it. I think that they look at that and they just say, yeah, well, we aren't going to get far, even if we do play in the play-in.
Exactly.
There's too much that, is at stake there. We could lose. We get a worse draft position. We want to improve. So I think that's why they just say, like, that's, we're not going to play that game.
Yeah, I agree, bro. I am, like, there are some times, though, where, like, last night where the Lakers lost, and I'm like, there's no reason why you should lose to them, who are they playing?
Memphis.
Memphis Grizzlies, with no Ja, no Steven Adams, no, what's the boy from Gonzaga? I'm forgetting his name right now. He's the power forward dude there. But they don't have their 4 best players right now.
Brandon Clark.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're letting dudes like Tillman that went to Michigan State. Xavier Tillman and people like that I'm just like, bro, you're LeBron James, bro. You should not be losing to Xavier Tillman.
It happens. Bro. It happens plenty of times.
No, you're LeBron James, bro.
It happens though. Like
LeBron is in the same conversation as Michael Jordan, bro. There is no reason why you should be losing to Xavier Tillman in the Grizzlies. And
I don't mean to take away from like what you have planned for us, but let me navigate this into college basketball, right? Was there any reason that we expected number 1 seeded Purdue to lose to a 16th seed, right? No, but I mean, it happens, right? And that's only the second time in history it's happened. I get that. But it's still the fact of like, if you walk out onto the court thinking that you're better than somebody, like you're going to get put in your place real fast, right? It could be the guy off the bench coming in and scoring a couple of 3-point shots that makes the difference. So I look at that, and it's like the NBA, like we said, best 400 players on the planet, anybody can score 20, 30 points in any given night, right? You had, you're a huge Lakers guy. Do you remember Andre Ingram a couple seasons ago, right? Came up from the G League, like oldest rookie to ever play, man. Like he's like 34, I want to say.
He's a teacher. He's a substitute teacher in LA.
Yeah, math teacher, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like G League, playing as a basketball star. That's like extra income for him. That's a hobby, And it's like, yeah, he plays against the Rockets the last game of the Lakers season. drops like 26 points or something. Don't quote me on it, right? I don't have that good of a memory of exactly what happened, but I just know, like, anybody can score that, right? Now, you and myself, we don't train for that. If they try to toss me in an NBA game, I'll probably shoot 0 of 7 from the corner three.
Exactly,
Like, I'm going to try to put it up, but I'm not making any shots. So
I agree, bro. Two things real quick. I always say, give me a full 30 minutes, I can get you 5 points. I could at least get like two free throws, like at least a layup or something. Like I could do something.
VaJahn, that's not, man. They're gonna toss you in and be like, "Hey, bro, go foul LeBron and sit back on the bench."
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Hey, as long as I get the game check, I don't care what they want me to do.
Fair enough.
And then another thing is, you were talking about. I believe in the basketball gods as well, bro. Basketball gods are real, bro. Especially when you talk about like looking down on like competition or like things like that, bro. The basketball gods always like come through and
it comes up all the time.
They
like,
even themselves out, bro.
Right,
But,
Father Time, one that's undefeated.
Exactly.
But then, like, I think the other one, in the spirit of competition, you do need to be humble to an extent, right? You can be proud of what you've accomplished. You can come into the game with a certain mentality. If you want to approach it, let's say you want to approach it with a Mamba mentality, that doesn't mean that you're going to discredit your competition. It just means that you're trying to be the best version of yourself for the game, for your teammates. So I think, basketball gods, like, that's obviously a thing. It's going to always play a part.
One more thing real quick. Give me a starting 5. Your life depends on it. Your mortgage
gun to my head.
On the line.
My mortgage is on the line. Gun to my head.
You gotta have 5 guys that are gonna get you a bucket. They're gonna get you a dub to save the house.
What era are we playing?
We'll go from the 80s on.
Okay, 80s on. Oh. You want me to go chronological? So, like, point guard, shooting guard?
Give me your 1 through 5, and then we'll...
Point guard, okay. And this is just because I need some shooting. If I'm going to... I look at the way that I build the whole team, right? So, if I wasn't building it and I just wanted a really good point guard, I'd go Magic Johnson. But because I need shooting, give me Steph Curry, right? I'm going to go Steph Curry at the 1. I think, maybe a little bit of a liability on defense, but I'm going to make up for it with the next 4, right? The 2, and it's going to piss a lot of people off, whoever's watching this, but I'm going to take Kobe over Michael. And I think that's just because, again, a little bit of a better shooter would play better in today's era. And they both had that killer instinct. So I'm going to go Kobe at the 2. My 3, it's a toss-up, and, it's... Maybe for you it wouldn't be a toss-up. I know you're a Lakers fan, so for you it's a no-brainer. I'm going to guess that you'd put LeBron James, and that's really who I want to put, but I'm almost tempted to say Larry Bird, right? And again,
Larry would be a good one too, bro.
I think I'm going to back up on that. I'm still going to take LeBron, right? I think he's one of the GOATs of the game. He can get a pass off, he can rebound, he can do all the little things that helps you win. I just want to make sure that he plays well with the rest of the team.
Exactly.
The 4 spot, oh man, okay. So can I pull some cheese? Can I pull some, like, I'll take a center that I'll play at a power forward position? I can do that. All right. So I'm gonna go.
However you want to get beat. It's your house.
However I want to get beat. We're going 82-0. Yeah. I'm gonna go Hakeem at the 4. Right. I think his footwork is tremendous. I think he moves, quick enough. Lateral quickness is there, and then number 1 all time in blocks. Right. So I'm gonna get defense from him as well. He's gonna play his role. And then at the 5, I can't pick a player before the 80s.
No, you can't have Bill Russell. I'm sorry.
Nah, I wasn't. I was gonna go Wilt. I was gonna go Wilt.
Well, that's what I meant.
I'm gonna go. Give me Shaq. I'm gonna take Shaq there, because we've seen Shaq and Kobe. Yeah, we've seen Shaq and Kobe. So that's how it's gonna break down. So Steph at the 1, Kobe, got LeBron, Hakeem, and Shaq.
I like that, bro. That's a good starting 5.
Yep.
I like that. Okay. One last question for the sports, real quick. Who's the greatest player of all time?
Wilt.
LeBron.
No, Wilt. I knew it. I
LeBron
knew
or
this was
Michael
gonna get this
Jordan?
guy. No,
LeBron or Michael Jordan?
it's neither of those. It's Wilt.
Okay, we're talking LeBron or Michael Jordan.
It's neither of them. It's Wilt.
Okay, well, LeBron or Mike? What do you? Okay,
That's not greatest of all time.
okay. Who's better between LeBron and Michael Jordan in that debate?
Oh, it's close. Okay. I'm gonna say Michael. I'm still gonna give it to Michael a little bit. 6-0 in the finals. I know LeBron's been there 10 times. Um, but like the way that I look at this, right? Why did Michael step away from basketball for 2 years? There's the conspiracy that he was betting on games, and that was his suspension was 18 months.
Really?
Right? They thought that David Stern imposed that, because he was the new commissioner, and they thought that, hey, we want to bring this up to our players. We want it to be a serious thing. I think that's why he went and he played baseball. I don't really think he had any interest for baseball, personally, but that's an opinion, right? But in the 13 seasons that Mike played, I mean, he's achieved quite a bit. He's amassed, over 30,000 points, 6 championships, arguably one of the greatest of all time, right? LeBron has longevity over him. That's the one thing that makes me hesitate a little bit, because we've seen LeBron play at a tremendous level year after year, and we always have to scratch our heads and beg the question, when is this guy going to slow down? Is he going to slow down? I think he could play another 5 years if he wanted. Maybe 10 years. I don't know, right? I mean, it's ridiculous. And I think the thing that also plays a part for me is sports science, right? That's a huge thing, because if we took Mike out of the 90s and we started him in 2003 as a rookie, right alongside LeBron James, and he had all this access to medical, to learning how to eat right, wasn't smoking cigars on the plane, right? I think Michael Jordan probably could have played just as long. So that's why I'm going to give it to Mike.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that, bro. Mike is. I just never. We weren't able to see him, bro. That's the only thing that is. That's the hard part, bro. I
could have watched him on the Wizards.
Could have. I probably did
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
But I have a hard part, bro, with taking older players that I have not seen personally. Not saying that they're not great, bro. It's just not my generation, bro. And so
that's the curse about it, right? Because you take somebody out of an era, as I said, and you place them in today's game, and it's maybe they'd perform better, maybe they'd be worse, maybe they couldn't play at today's pace. And we take the players from today and we put them way back when. I mean, let's say we put Steph Curry back in the 60s. I mean, what's he going to average? 75 points a game? And that's, I don't know really if that's fair or not, because he's developed because of his predecessors, right? Mike was a mixture of Oscar Robertson and Julius Erving, and, looked up to Magic maybe a little bit. So, I think he's combined all that, and, that's why he is the way that he is. He's just great. So.
LeBron is the greatest of our generation, I believe.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that.
I don't know if he's the greatest of all time, because I prefer Kobe over it, because I just think Kobe, if it's to go get a bucket, bro, Kobe's the guy, bro. Kobe is gonna go get you a bucket. He's gonna go set you up. He's gonna turn you around, hit you with a little fadeaway, it's gonna be butter. But if it's LeBron, bro, I don't think anybody's going to ever play for 20 plus years, bro, ever again, at that type of level, ever again, bro.
No, not at that level. We've seen Karl Malone, right? We've seen Kareem. But you're 20, LeBron.
Still being that main figure, though.
30 points a game? Come on.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll kind of transition off of that.
Sure.
Tell me, what are a couple of your pet peeves?
This is a difficult one, because as somebody, as a young male, living in today's world, right, social media and all that, stuff can really get to you. It can irk you, get under your skin. But to be honest with you, I try to live my life simply. I try to just say hey, I don't think I have very many pet peeves. Maybe if you look at my relationship, there's one or two things that can get under my skin, but my girlfriend will do it jokingly, right? So it'll be I'll say something to her, I'm hard of hearing in my left ear, right? So it's if she responds really quietly, like then I constantly have to ask him like, what'd you say? What'd you say? So maybe that's like a little pet peeve of mine. But really, I don't think there's many like giant pet peeves. I try to live humbly. I try to, be fair. I try to be pragmatic, right, in my approach to life, and just, take that with everything. So,
you kind of brought it up a little bit. Explain, how do people build healthy relationships, or how can someone build?
It takes only a couple things, right? It's not a complicated science. I think communication is a great thing. Like, you need to be communicating with your partner always. You just need to be honest, right? You need to have integrity, like when you're speaking to them. Even in like difficult situations, difficult conversations, you're gonna always want to, present your best self. Like, don't lie, right? I think, it's almost unethical to lie, right? There are some instances where somebody will tell you, no, it's a good thing to lie in certain situations so that you don't get into those awkward moments. I'm the complete opposite, right? I'm complete honesty all the time, 100%.
Be in those awkward moments.
Yeah,
so
because
we can solve it.
yeah,
so
we can get through it, right?
Yeah,
And that's like,
exactly.
you say a healthy relationship. It's not what we see on Netflix or Hulu. It's not those romantic movies where it's like everything's perfect. Like, no, you're going to end up fighting, you're going to end up having these arguments maybe over finances or, hey, whose birthday party are we going to? Because, my dad has a birthday, but so does your little brother, right? Can we do both, right? And it's just how you work through that adversity together. If you can communicate through any situation and you can support one another, like it builds for the healthiest relationship. So
I like that, bro. Communication is very important. And integrity. That's another word, bro, that I always try to. Integrity is something that my grandma used to always say. Like, that's her, like, one of her favorite words is, you got integrity? Can you be trusted? Can your word be trusted?
Have I earned my seat at the table?
Exactly.
Right? Like, yeah.
That's what it's. Yeah.
Because a lot of people think that seat's gonna stay open for him, and it's like, no, like, you got to do all that work ahead of time, right? There's a quote that I love. I'll share with you guys. It's they'll bring you flowers to your funeral, but they won't bring you soup when you're sick, right? So it's like you can't really expect anything in return if it's like you're just there some of the time. Like, whether it's an actual like romantic relationship with a partner or if it's like a friendship, right? You're still building those relationships. You got to be in contact with these people and reach out to them, check up on them. Hey, how are you doing? How are your kids? How's, life? What are you going through? Do you need anything? How about I give you a call tomorrow, right? I think that's where we mess up as humans, because we're just in this social bubble where we get stuck on our phones, right? We forget to look up and actually have a conversation. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on it, but.
Bro, that's I like that. Let's talk about cars, bro. What do you have, and then what is like your dream car? What are you trying to get?
Oh, okay. Are we going realistic or unrealistic?
Well, let's go. Well, whatever you. What is your realistic car? What do you see yourself in? And then give me like that one that like once you reach that millionaire status, like.
Even then, I don't know if because it's just a car. Cars to get you from point A to point B, right?
Yeah.
I love cars. I love to, see like the car community in Spokane, right? It's crazy what people can put on, right? They'll, have wheels that they swap out. They'll lower their car. They'll put performance parts so that they're a sleeper car maybe or whatever it is. Make it look cosmetically nice. Wrap it. There's plenty of things. And for me, like the 2 cars that I have a 2012 Volkswagen Jetta. That's more just kind of the daily, like I used to use it to DoorDash, right, on the side. But then the fun car is a 2016 Ford Mustang, right? And with that one, it's like, has a modified exhaust. It's a little bit lower, has bigger wheels. It looks nice, right? It turns heads. But again, I think I've grown out a little bit of the car community because I look at it as, cars are just there to get you from point A to point B. Now, with that being said, would I still love to attain a car, like that I've dreamt about? Yeah. I think realistically, it would be a Nissan Silvia S15. It's a Japanese car. I'd be looking to import it probably to Tacoma. The fun part, like when you import a car from Japan, the steering wheel is on the opposite side, right? So if I'm trying to go through Starbucks to get my white girl drink or what have you, like I gotta go through that drive-through backwards because my window is gonna be that way. So
Never really thought about that.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, it's insane. Like I've seen it a couple times. I know a couple people have imported cars.
Rich people problems, bro. Like.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, the unrealistic car though, like there's plenty. I mean, I think Koenigsegg is a really good one.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's a look it up. Koenigsegg Regera, I think, is the one that I like. Um, I just a 1963 Chevrolet Corvette's one that I never, like look past. I love that one. It's a classic. Um, yeah, I mean that's a difficult one. Like I'm sure you've seen on Instagram they say, what would you fill your dream garage with? Right? There's 4 spots, and it's like for me, I've thought about that. What 4 cars do I put in?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like there's so many good cars out there. There's so many different ways to look at it. And it's like, how much money are you going to spend on that versus, investing or getting a mortgage, whatever. At some point, it's like you kind of table that hobby and maybe you focus on a business.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like I said, realistic, I think Sylvia S15.
Okay. There's a debate that I've been hearing more recently that renting is better than owning, like in housing and things like that. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, see, I'm not licensed regarding real estate, right? If I was, I actually don't know whether or not I could share it. But just as a friend-to-friend perspective,
No, yeah, I just
right?
want to know, yeah.
I really don't know about that. I think having a real estate portfolio is very beneficial in some ways. I know that you can get slammed with taxes and certain other things, but like for myself, I think the dream would be prior to me having my own dream home, why don't I own a couple of rental properties, right? And then, renting, I think it's the scary part is you're subject to what the owner wants to set the price for, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they want to increase it by, 200%, you go from paying $1,000 a month to all of a sudden you're being asked to pay $2,000 a month. It's not his problem if you can't afford it, somebody else will, Whereas having, something that you own that's in your name, it's like you kind of get a little bit more stability with it. There's plenty of other stuff. Again, I'm not licensed in it, but I'm sure like we look at interest rates, we look at the housing market. Is it up? Is it down?
Mm-hmm.
Buyer's market, seller's market. Like there's a lot to it. I'm not probably the best guy for it, but that's just kind of my opinion. So.
Let's talk a little bit about the homelessness and kind of like your story. And then I also want to know though, your thoughts about like kind of like what's going on here with like the homeless population in like Seattle and like Portland, and maybe how we could maybe like a way or two that maybe we could combat the homeless problem, or maybe something that we could do to get them off the streets. Or
I mean, it's one of those questions where I don't know that we're actually going to have the right solution, right? I mean, it's always talked about. The thing that I hate though is that a lot of times we don't see action taking place, right? Everyone loves to talk about it, myself included. Like, I'll come on camera, I'll tell you about it, right? Where I've experienced homelessness in a way that, like my friend was having issues with his family, and it was like, we came to a point where he was just like, he's like, I can't really take it here. I need to prioritize my mental health. So he ended up sacrificing his bed, the home he was sleeping in, started sleeping in his car, right? And he was doing that day in, day out until I figured it out. And I said, my family has we have a bed for you. Why don't you come there? And, his pride takes over. He says, nah, I don't feel comfortable with that.
yeah.
So then I said, okay, well, what type of friend am I, right? Am I a good person? I like to think so. So I said, I'm going to take it upon myself. I'll just go sleep with him in the car, right? And we did that for like a period of 2-3 months, right? We're more fortunate than those people that they don't have a car, that they end up sleeping on the streets. They deal with, freezing weather. They deal with extremely hot weather, right? Not having food potentially. Like I was always fortunate enough that during the time, I would say that I was homeless, like I still was, working a job. I was just having to adjust certain things, and it really humbled me because it was, I was showering at a rest stop, right? Like, think about that. You go from living in a home where you're comfortable, you're stable, to like, hey, I'm having a shower at this rest stop and, get ready for work, drive out an hour to work, and I'm, interacting with coworkers, with clients there. and nobody knows what's going on in my life, right? So like that's the part that humbled me, right? You spend a lot of time thinking about stuff. You're alone with your thoughts, you know. Um, you know, my heart goes out to like all the people that really are like homeless, that they have it worse off than I did. And to combat that, I really think it's, you have to look at the root cause. You have to question, why are they homeless in the first place? Was it, you know, an addiction problem? Did they struggle with their finances? Were they struggling with mental health? Did maybe a medical event take place in their life where they, you know, ended up having a foreclosure on their home? Like what, you know, I don't know many people that when they're brought into this world, they're homeless and then they live the rest of their life being homeless. I know it's always like, you know, you go from a stable situation to some type of event or something happen in your life. And, you know, if you can identify what the root cause is and we treat that, then I think we'll see, you know, the homeless population reduce. So, you said something about Seattle and
just about like kind of like the drug problem that they're having there right now, and just like the homeless population. I kind of feel like Seattle in the last like 5 to 10 years has really changed a lot, just with like the standpoint of like the filth that's there. Like I feel like it's really dirty now, and I just feel like it's very like, I just feel like people are more open about things. I feel like back in the day, yes, people used to do drugs and stuff, and like people used to do what they used to do, but it used to be behind closed doors. You didn't want people to know that you were doing drugs. And now I just feel like it's so acceptable, and it's just so like, it's so something that is just.
Well, let me flip the question on you, right? So do you think that we maybe pay attention to it more nowadays because there's cameras everywhere, right? Because it's easy for somebody to pull out their iPhone, record somebody that's homeless, and then 5 seconds later 1,000 people have viewed it.
Yes,
right?
And I also think it's the crime aspect too that shines another light onto it, just with like kind of like what's going on with like just with theft, and like Nike is no longer in Seattle anymore. They moved out of Seattle, and maybe it's either Seattle or Portland. I think it's Seattle. I don't know. It's a tough. That's why I always try to ask people, like, because I don't know what the solution is, bro. I don't know what the like. Because as you were saying, like, there's so many people, bro, that have mental problems, bro. There's vets that have came back here that are fucked up in the head or whatever it is, bro. And I don't know. I just feel like it's hard. It's hard to, like, I agree with you, but I think it's hard to first off throw that money at that, and then like make sure it's going to the right place, make sure that the homeless people, I don't know, I just feel like it's really hard. But I also think that it's not just like a government per se. I also think that it has to be everybody. I think it needs to be not just, well, our government's making this decision, so this is what it is, they're going to throw some money at this. I think it needs to be everybody. I think everybody just needs to come together and just, I don't know what the solution is.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we always talk about it.
Come together and we got to figure something out as like a community to figure out or combat the homeless population or whatever it is. Like get them the proper, I don't know, get them the shower coins that they need, or the shoes. Because I think that's what half the battle is.
I used to do so I did volunteer work back in high school. I don't know if you ever did it through LC, but they it was a group called Face to Faith. It ended up converting into Global Connections. It's ran by Corey Davis, right? English professor, really good guy. I was actually best friends with his kid, right, Brendan. And you know, I joined up in that group. We used to talk to other cultures, right? We would FaceTime with schools in India and Pakistan. Homelessness was a topic that came up, and similar to the conversation that we're having now, like we couldn't provide one tangible solution to, hey, how do you combat that, right? So the thing was that like we said, okay, well, why don't we go experience it firsthand, right? Why don't we go and you know, get with a different volunteer group and just give our time, right? Let's see, like, can we provide any value to these people? Can we help them out? And what I learned through that, we partnered with a thing called Blessings Under the Bridge. They used to provide meals, a little bit of entertainment, right? Yeah. I actually didn't know whether or not they're still around, right? It's been a while for me, but the thing was, like, being a high school student and having my eyes open up to that, what I learned was a lot of times it's not even, you know, hey, where's my next meal coming from? Because there's so many groups that already provide that. sometimes it's just they want to be seen. Sometimes they just want to be heard, right? And it's like, like if you know anybody, for instance, let's say that they're being bullied in school, one of the things with that is that they're, experiencing loneliness at a level far beyond like what some people can comprehend. So with that, it's like, you're homeless. You're not going to get bullied as an adult necessarily. Maybe some people look at you differently. They look down on you. But you're experiencing loneliness, right? You're not at the point where you're interacting with people regularly, right? Maybe they just want somebody that's going to be there for them, support them, provide opinions or guidance so that they can get back up on their feet. I don't think homeless people are bad. I don't think that there's anything, wrong with any of them. I think that, they've just experienced certain things that we don't, right? And, because we don't, we're more fortunate. We're better off. With homeless people, it's like, man, like you feel bad. You want to help. And it's like, maybe you just need to provide time and talk to them. That's it. So.
Yeah, I agree, bro. It's hard. It's hard, bro. It sucks. Give me something that like a goal or something like that you've accomplished, like maybe in the past like year or so that you're just super like, maybe not that you're proud of course, but like maybe like just something that maybe you didn't think that you were going to achieve, but.
Being in the position that I am with my job now, right? I can't say too much on camera, but I think that, when I went into that interview, I go in a lot of times the way I approach life. I don't have expectations of anything. If it happens, it happens, But kind of going through like the interview process, I felt like I was underqualified, and I managed to get my way in, right? And now I've acquired like all this knowledge about my job and the field that I work in, and it's just incredible, right? Like where you what you can achieve, like how different things are from where they were a year ago. For me, it's not necessarily about setting goals, it's really setting plans, right? So if I have a plan of action, I understand it's going to take steps A, B, and C to, get to my end goal. If I set the goal, but I don't have like that discipline, I don't have any structure, then all it is just a goal, right? If I have a plan, eventually I'm going to get there. So I wouldn't say that I set goals as often as I set plans, but that's I think the biggest thing that's changed in the past year is just a year ago, like I think I had actually stepped down from my job, almost exactly a year ago. It was 358 days ago, right? So a week from now it would have been, when I stepped down, when my last day was. And it's like I didn't know where I was going to end up next, but I just figured, hey, I'm going to shoot for the moon and hopefully I get there, and I feel like I have. So.
Bro, that's what's up. I like that, plans instead of goals. I think that is very. I do agree with you with the standpoint of with like the goals, as in like once you set them, that you're going to accomplish them. I just sometimes, bro, I have a problem with like just like that motivation factor, bro, just like wanting to like keep when like I have other things that I perceive that are way more important, still having that same like that same level. I'm just ranting though. What is your definition of success?
Oh, see, this is one I knew was going to come up. You ask everybody this, right?
Yeah, this is the most important question.
Yeah, of course it is, right? Because it's I don't think it's a monetary thing. I don't think I can sit here and look you in the eye and say, VaJahn, I think that if you get you become a millionaire, you're successful. Well, I don't think so, right? Some people end up lucky. So I don't think it's a monetary thing. I think it's really success is every day that I wake up, right? Am I going to become a better person? Am I better than what I was the day before? And some days, like I said, some days we struggle, right? Some days we kind of put things on pause. But as long as you don't have any regression, you're not falling back down the hill, and you continue pushing this boulder up the hill, eventually you're going to be able to reflect back and say, did I do the right things? Did I make the right choices? Was I ethical? Was I, a person with good morals? And I think if you can look back in the mirror at yourself and say, yeah, I've done all those things, well, then you're successful. It doesn't matter, what you've accomplished in life. It doesn't matter what possessions you own. Just as long as you look in the mirror and you're satisfied with yourself. If you've, I'll tie that in with like the meaning of life for me is impact, right? I want to impact people around me in my community in a positive way. Now, do I always impact them in a positive way? No. There's, been times where I've messed up, right? I've maybe said the wrong things. I've impacted somebody negatively because of my brash honesty or whatever. But the thing with that was that, from that, did that person, develop something within themselves? Did they come out of that maybe, becoming a stronger person in a sense? Yeah. So, for me, like within my life, what's the meaning of life? Well, it's just impacting people, and hopefully it's in a positive way. So with being successful, I think you need impact. I think you need to do a lot of self-reflection and be like comfortable within yourself. Like, hey, have I done enough? Right? Do I consider myself a good person? And if you can, answer those and say like, yeah, I think I have, well, then you're successful. That's all you need.
Okay. I like that, bro. I always ask that question because everybody's answer is always different, bro. But
You got to put a compilation of it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, bro.
Yeah.
It's never been monetary value though, bro. And that's what's the most important, like, because, I feel like sometimes, bro, people always think that success is the money or it's the fame or it's the like. And I heard something today. They said LeBron James's manager is doing better than most bosses, and like.
Yep.
I think that's super important because I always say everybody wants to be LeBron, but nobody wants to be. I don't know.
Wants to be me? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
What is River? What's the dude from the Lakers? The white kid.
Austin Reeves.
Yeah. Nobody wants to be Austin Reeves though.
Yeah.
Like nobody wants to go do. Nobody wants to hit threes, bro. Nobody wants to do the dirty work, bro.
You have to.
Yeah, and I believe that's what like. LeBron had to do dirty work before he became what he did, bro. And I just think everybody's like how people perceive success is just very I think it's very important, and I think it's something that maybe we don't verbalize as much as well.
Yeah, I mean it's like
we think about it, but we don't put it out into the world. And I think that's important because then people can hear that, and then they can make
absolutely.
Their own.
Yeah, it's like one of the other things that is really important is. Are you influential to the next generation, right? So like if I have my own kids, of course I want to pass down whatever knowledge I've acquired so that, maybe they don't have to work as hard and they can get a foot up in life,
exactly.
Right? Same with like other people, right? I mean, it's just like I said, like you really want to impact the people that are around you, that are in your social circles. I think us as people, like we are a culmination of all the people that we hang out with, all the experiences that we've ever had, right? So if I choose to sit down with people that I think are successful, with people that I think that are influential, it's going to rub off on me, and eventually I will become that, So it's just like, just keep in mind like who your friends are, who you hang out with. Like that's always in the back of my head. Like, hey, I want to be surrounded with good people. Like the people I do business with, I want to make sure that they're good people. So that's just kind of how I look at it.
Bro, I really appreciate you, and I thank you for coming on, dog. As I said, bro, I knew you were going to have a whole bunch of gems to drop for everybody.
We got it, yeah. I mean, it's like...
I appreciate you, dog, for coming on. Because it's been a long time coming. I feel like we've been talking about this for...
You've been so adamant,
bro,
and
I've been trying to... Well, and we both been.
Anybody, yeah, like, I mean, this is a plug for you, but anybody that's watching this, anybody that, this video... they came across it, decided to watch it. Like, understand one thing. Like, this man puts in so much work with everyone that he talks with, and it's like, he preps stuff ahead of time. Like you guys can't see the setup, obviously, but like, I mean, this is nice. Like, this is really good. I enjoyed myself definitely being here. I always enjoy those conversations. So, I thank you for having me.
I appreciate you, dog. I feel like people don't sit down and have face-to-face conversations anymore, and that's really what
Yeah, put your phone down, right?
Yeah,
Get out
yeah.
there, go talk to a family member, friend. Like you got to do that. You got to get off the phone.
It's a podcast, but it's more of like a conversation just between friends.
It is, yeah.
Like,
That's how I felt.
That's all it is, bro.
So,
So
yeah.
I appreciate you, though.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Let me turn this thing